Hey everyone, thank you again for joining us for another masterclass. We're really excited just to go over more business topics and to provide business owners a little more knowledge on different things you can do to help grow your business. And so I don't know how many masterclasses we've done so far. I think this is number 4, number 5.
We might be on 6.
Or maybe
on 6. No, we should start tracking that.
We've lost track of time.
It's been about half a year. Yeah, we've been getting on.
Yeah, and so we're excited to introduce our speaker today. Welcome, Taylor. Taylor is from Mr. Pipeline, and she is awesome. Do you want to go over a little bit? Sorry.
Okay, I will introduce our topic, and then we'll introduce Taylor a little more. So today we are going to talk about how to generate business while you're sleeping. And that sounds really nice right now because I am ready for a nap. That would be lovely. But really, this topic today is so important because especially with a lot of the businesses that we work with, and I know Mr. Pipeline as well. Most of you started a business not because you wanted to get into SEO or know how to do Google Ads and how to get your rankings high. The majority of business owners, they do it because you love your trade or your whatever your skill set is that you're promoting, or if you have a product, whatever it may be. But as we all know, knowing or finding people that can help you that do know this stuff is just vital to your business. And now more than ever, because everything's online pretty much right now. And so the topic that we're going to talk about today, and just knowing more about how to, I guess, what you need to know for your business about those different things and what you need to be paying attention to. And then also Taylor and her team, Mr. Pipeline, this is literally what they do all day. So they know what works and what doesn't. And so I'm really excited. As always, please ask questions if you have any. We've got an expert here. So any questions that you might have about it or things you want us to cover, we'll be watching the comments. So please do that. And then if you want to, I'll just introduce Taylor a little bit as well. So Taylor, she works with Mr. Pipeline. And so you also have your own business with your husband, right? A power washing?
Yeah.
And you're located out of Florida. So not only do you know this stuff, but you're like in the trenches on both ends, I guess, right? Both from the knowing what it is running the business, having the contact with the people, but then also knowing how to run, your SEO and your website and your Google Ads and everything like that. So I love that you have both ends of that. I think that makes you a true expert because you actually know what you're talking about.
Well, thank you.
How long have you been with Mr. Pipeline?
So I'm actually 2 years next month, 2
Awesome.
years in June. So super exciting. I've been working in marketing for about 5 years though. So it's just been 3 years with the previous company. But it's unique. It's very fun to have both ends of it. I never expected to have that side of it. I didn't think I was going to marry a small business owner. So when that happened, it really brought a lot of value into what I do for the company, as well as value to my clients, which is great. And I really can, like you said, bring both sides of the spectrum to this. I joke, I've been out pressure washing driveways before. I was helping rebuild our trailer this weekend. So I have both ends of it. But I can tell you how to make sure your ROI is going up on Google Ads front and be able to say what keywords are going to work well. So I'm excited to really talk about this today and dive into exactly how to generate these leads and how to make sure you're being profitable for your business during this time frame. So I'm super excited to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. We're excited. And, as we dive into it, one thing that we were talking about is, when we first talked with Taylor and planned to have this masterclass, it was way before we even knew the word COVID. So the funny, and, when I touched base with you a few weeks ago and I was kind of being, do we still talk about this right now? Do people still need to hear this? And my initial gut was like, yes, if anything now more than ever, we need to know how to best get new customers, how to best have that visibility, because every customer matters more than ever right now. And so I think that these things that we're going to talk about today are so vital. We were talking a little bit about what kind of have you been seeing just on your end? Because I know you guys work with a lot of different industries across the US. What do you see kind of going on right now?
Couple different things I've seen is you're very right in the aspect that we're all quarantining, or we're staying at home, or we're doing our part to really help with this COVID-19 pandemic. And with that, it's funny that we did kind of while you're sleeping, because I feel like a lot of people have been taking advantage of nap time during this. So
Yeah.
it's something that in a sense it really still fits. So I've been seeing across the board, and we work with companies, like you said, from HVAC to your small town pressure washing, to painters, to fleet washing companies. We have, across the board, multiple different array of service industry professionals that we service. And I have seen a couple different things. I've seen some clients where unfortunately their industry in particular, like the hotel industry as well as travel, has been gravely affected, unfortunately, and have had to really pull back on campaigns and really get creative with their marketing and how they're spending their dollars and how they're bringing in new inquiries during this time frame. But I've also had individuals in areas of the country that have been, skyrocketing, increasing, hitting marks for their profit each month that they haven't reached ever in their business. So it's amazing to still see such great success stories in a time like this, because it really gives you that hope we all need. And I'm a true believer that if you put the effort into your business that you're wanting to see in the long run, it's going to pay out for you. And this is such a perfect time to do it. And a lot of these things that I'm going to talk about today, majority of it is Google Ads based, because we're talking about leads. We're talking about bringing in new leads for your business. But you can be able to take this, and if you do operate your own campaign, or you're just looking to learn about your campaign a little bit more, sit down with your agency, sit down with your, who runs your Google Ads, if it's someone in-house or if it's just you yourself, and take these tactics and really evaluate your campaign currently and how you can be able to implement some of the changes I'm discussing, because now's the perfect time to do it, especially if your search volume's low, which I am seeing across the board. About 50% drop is what we saw when COVID hit. 50% drop for majority of the states. And it's slowly been increasing. We're about at 75%. So I'm saying 100 was prior to COVID. So almost there, almost back to what normal search volume, kind of quote unquote normal is for our business owners. But you can use this time, and it's so valuable because since the search volume's down, you can make a bunch of these edits and get a little bit of a feel of how it's going to react without having to spend your entire ad spend towards it. So I don't want to say it's a test, because a lot of these things I'm going to explain today are things that are just, ironclad, really, strong tactics that you should be using, or your marketing company probably already is doing for you. And that's where we can implement these if you don't have them, to be able to say, okay, we're coming out of COVID stronger. We're coming out of this a better company, and we're going to produce the amount of leads we want to see to hit those revenue marks that we've been dreaming about. And I'm a big component on partnerships. I know you guys work very close with your clients. It's something to me that is so essential as industries like in industries like ourselves, where we're working for these business owners. If you're not open communication with them, it tends to be a little bit of a struggle. So I'm open to any questions that y'all will have, and super excited to kind of dive into the topic today.
Awesome. Yeah, I like what you said, because it's either this is probably now is better time than ever to get started if you aren't doing anything, and if you are, to fine tune it. It's kind of like, oh, I love your mug. I listen. That's so cute. Gary Vee, I was listening to one of his podcasts this morning, and he was talking about, if you're consistent, you win. And I was thinking that's probably a really good quote with what we're going to be talking about today, because I think especially Google Ads and these other things, a lot of times it's the consistency that wins. And especially right now, when so many business owners are pulling back, like I know with Facebook ads, we've been getting them cheaper than we ever have been able to during this. So it's like, and we don't usually actually even do them. So it's like, if you haven't been doing this might be a good time, because so many people are pulling back, that it might be a good time to get started on it, or to really push it forward if it's something that you've been doing. Because again, it's just, we're kind of in a little bit of different times, and a lot of people are scared. So if you're going to keep pushing forward and, hey, I'm going to grow my business through this, you're going to be ahead of all those other people that are either staying stagnant or you're kind of declining. So
it's honestly, you couldn't say it any better. When it comes to cost per clicks and things that sort, which we'll get into a little bit, you're seeing now is a lot lower time frame. Now, I will preface 100%, will go up. Like, don't think this lower cost point is going to stay around forever. It's a lot of it's due to competition, to search volume, to your local area where your actual business is located. So there's a lot of pieces that fall into that. But right now, because like you said, so many people have pulled back on it, it's allowing people to get a little bit lower. I mean, I saw someone drop about over $1.50 on a Google Ads campaign, which is, I mean, huge for the market that they're in. And when they were able to start seeing it, pretty much opened them up to an additional like $15 to $20 a day for their particular budget that they were on. So with that, that was able to bring them in an additional like 4 clicks a day. So now they're getting more exposure, which is exactly what we're needing during this time. So there's so many huge positives that are coming in from all of this. And I will say, take a notepad, take a pen and paper out, take notes throughout all of this. It's going to be a lot of analytical. I'll try to keep it as minimal industry jargon as possible. There's some stuff that it's just terminology I have to stick with, just because it'll be how you'll find it on your campaign. But it's going to be a lot of
questions. Just ask, and
yes, any questions, just throw it at me.
Cool. Well, let's dig in. I'm excited.
All right, so let me go ahead and get this slideshow open here. So what we'll be talking about today, like I'd mentioned previously, is we're really diving into Google Ads, and Google Ads specifically because it's such a strong lead generation source. And I want to make sure that we can be able to look at your campaign from an outsider's perspective, in a sense, and say, okay, let's go ahead and share the screen here. I want to make sure y'all can see everything. There we go. Are we good? Can we see the screen? Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so I'll move you guys over there. Oops, I'm in the wrong part there. Let's go back here.
I like your avatar though. It seems like the biggest thing on Facebook right now. I haven't figured out if it's great. I still like it.
That's something John put together forever ago, and we all get one whenever someone comes on board. So it's super fun. It's fun to see the caricature.
We've been talking about doing it for Jill, so I love that. I'll have to find out how to do it.
It's so much fun. We'll have to get you in contact with the graphic designer. He's awesome. But pretty much, I like to talk about briefly my background in client success. So all of what I do at Mr. Pipeline is all goal oriented. And I do this because I want to make sure my clients' conversations are strategic based. So we focus on growth, we focus on integration, we focus on accountability. These are all the different pillars within client success. So that way we know our clients and our partnership with our clients is exceeding to the highest level. So when we talk about goals and we talk about making sure that, our clients are hitting their goals, it's essential to evaluate a lot of this stuff based upon our foundation. And our foundation came from John's original company, which is a power washing company. And he really made the blueprint for the majority of our clients to be able to use off this company. So, you look at your Google organic rankings, you look at your Google My Business rankings, all of it and your ads all end up tying in together at one point. So the beauty of it is we were able to tie all that together to really, like I said, make a blueprint, make a game plan that we can help every single service-based client come on board with us with, and be able to showcase and kind of start out a step ahead, not start out at that ground level, which is fantastic. So like I said, growth of your business month after month, super important. Qualified leads are what everyone's looking for. You're not looking for someone to land on your account and say, oh, I was just looking to have you install a product I already had, or I'm looking to just kind of window shop and not necessarily get any type of service from you. I don't need a new roof. Say if you're a roofing company, I just need to find out pricing. We need people that are landing on your account and saying, I'm ready to move forward with the new roof. I want to know your options. I would like the metal roof. Let's go ahead and book it for 2 weeks from now, because that's when I'm ready to start my project. So qualified leads can be done on all 3 of these platforms, from Google Ads to Bing, all the way down to Facebook. I know a lot of people will say, oh, why are you talking about Bing? But Bing is still one of the second most used search engines behind Google. So it comes. I
was literally just going to say that. I was like, do people still use Bing? I didn't know. So that's interesting.
So I guess fun fact, as my husband would say, is it's the default browser for any Microsoft-based products. So whenever, tablet, phone, desktop computers, all of it still is defaulted to Bing. And Amazon Alexa is actually associated to Bing as well. So it's essential to have Bing in your marketing campaigns from both the ads front, as well as if you're working on an organic platform as well. So as we talk about your your targeted leads and your qualified leads, you want to make sure you have targeted keywords. That's the first step in all of this. So whenever you're doing this, you want to research the type of keywords that you're using. So I'll keep using the example of the roofing company. So if you were just to put in, let's use, for example, metal roof. If you just put in metal roof as a keyword, you could be pulling up for a majority of keywords that are associated with roof installations, but you could also be pulling up for metal roof supplies. So this is where being very hyper targeted with your keywords is essential, because you don't want to be pulling up for someone who's looking for supplies. That could be another roofing company looking for a wholesaler. That could be a DIYer looking to complete a tiny home, for all we know. It can be a vast range of broad searches that are coming in just for metal roof. So that's where you get very targeted with your keywords. You look for different keyword variations, whether it's metal roofing or metal roofing installation, a new metal roof near me. There's different types of ways to be able to search for these type of keywords. But on top of the targeted, you also need to make sure that you have the negative, and the negative helps minimize that broad terminology as metal roof company, to saying we're only looking for new installations. We're not looking to be a supplier to someone out in the market there. So
Taylor, quick, so with negative keyword list, is that something you set up when you're setting up a Google ad? Is it has a spot where you can say, I don't want searches with these?
It will develop. It's not something that just you can dump a bunch in there at first. I will say that. And in that section, you add, like I'm saying, you add in keywords such as, Home Depot metal roof. You don't want to rank for that by no means. I don't even know if Home Depot sells metal roofs, but if they do, you don't want to rank for it. So it will develop over time. You can put a bunch of keywords in there. There's a bunch of resources that you can use ask your marketing advertiser what negative keywords they have on there, so you're aware. And if you notice, as you're optimizing your campaign, that's something that happens daily, monthly. It's really never ending. I thought, we were working on a campaign. We've been working on it for, they've been a client of ours for probably like 3 years at this point. And I was like, oh, their campaign's super optimized. We find random ones every now and then we have to add in as negative keywords, but we really focus on targeting different, specific avenues of services for them. So we build upon their different markets instead of having to be so heavy on the negative keyword list, because we really gotten a lot from it. And then I promise you, it was a week later, they got a search that came in for pressure washing a hogshead. And I was like, Lord knows, I never thought I would see that. And it came in. So it's one of these things that you have to make sure you're constantly searching for. Even if you've been doing a campaign for 3-4 years, you never know what's going to come in. So I can't stress that enough, that optimization and working with your Google Ads company is very important to make sure you're not becoming plateaued, to make sure you're not becoming stale or stagnant. So you can really use your keywords for, let's move you guys around there so you can see the text. Perfect. Oh, well, maybe not. So competitive advantage was what that says. And for your competitive advantage, you want to be able to see, okay, what are my local competitors doing? I don't want to run ads that are exactly like theirs. We need to pay something that's a little bit different, be creative, make sure that your offers and your calls to action encompass something about you as your business, but aren't the exact thing that your competitors are running. Because then your consumers are going to see that. They're going to say, oh, it's just another ad. It's not eye-catching. There's nothing that's appealing to them. So make sure you research into your competitors. I know everyone knows who their competitors are, but you may not know what their ads look like. So when you add in that component to it, being able to take a look at, okay, do a couple searches. Please do not click on their ads. Be a good business owner. Don't cost them money. That's something I hate that I have to preface, but I've seen it, unfortunately, with clients of ours that have been on the negative effect of that, who someone has clicked on their campaign just because. So I do always say, please don't click on ads. You can use a tool like isearchfrom.com, and that allows you to see exactly how users are, how competitors are running their ads without having to actually affect the Google algorithm. So that is an amazing tool. And it also allows you to see your ads too. So instead of affecting your personal algorithm by logging in and looking at your phone constantly, you can check on isearchfrom.com and it sets it to your target location. You can type in the exact keyword you're looking for, and then you can be able to see your campaign too without affecting your campaign, which is a huge positive. So by adding in the competitive advantage, you also can do what's called branded keywords. So you can add in, other companies' business names and go at them through the ads front. So if I was competing against ABC marketing, we can be able to say, coin our ad copy around a little bit about ABC marketing, but also be centered around Mr. Pipeline. So that way, when they come, you can click on that ad, we know, okay, we need to work for this lead. It's not, I will tell you up front, it's not going to be an easy sale because they're thinking that you're at that other company. So you have to really show your value. You have to give the full sales pitch in a sense. You're not going to get an easy way out on it to be able to land that next job because you're working from a branded, competitive branded campaign. So
Taylor, do you recommend doing a campaign based off your own company as a keyword?
You can't. Reason being, it comes at a very, very low cost per click. You normally aren't seeing it at the really high drastic cost per clicks that some companies like roofing companies can be upwards of like $30 cost per click. If you're doing a branded campaign for yourself, branded campaigns they can be done in two formats. So you can do it through campaign on Google Ads, and you also can do it through retargeting on Google. So retargeting branded ads are your banners and your signs that pop up throughout Google or Pandora, wherever you end up landing and you see your campaign randomly. Those are very, very low, a couple cents normally, some upwards of like 10 to 15, depending on the business, can be a little bit higher. And then your branded campaign on ads specifically, so not retargeting, but if you're running a branded campaign on ads for lead generation, again, those run a couple dollars at most in comparison to, like I said, for a roofing company can be upwards of $30 to $50. So very much a low budget. And sometimes it's good because if you don't have an organic presence yet, if you haven't jumped into an SEO campaign, running a branded based campaign helps because if you're handing out door flyers, for example, and someone searches for Joe's pressure washing, now you're seeing, okay, I got a door hanger for Joe's pressure washing. I want to get a little bit more information. So you search Joe's pressure washing, but if you don't have that organic base yet, you don't have that foundation, the ad's going to be the first thing that can pop up for them. So it's a great way to get them to your website easily without having to pay an exuberant cost per click. So that was actually a great question. Thank you for that. So tying back into copy is super important. Like I mentioned before, making sure that it's very unique. But in that uniqueness, your call to action is essential. A lot of my home service businesses can be able to run a campaign with a call to action based upon $1 off amount. So it varies for the dollar off amount. Some of my clients do up to $100. They do up to $500 if it's a new roof. But the key that I'm saying in both of these terms is up to. So what that does is it allows you as a business owner to say, okay, we got this lead that came in from Google Ads. We're a painting company. They only want to do a single room on the interior of their home. Really can't give them $100 off. But because the offer says up to, you're able to adjust that. So that gives you a little bit more leeway as a business owner, which is good. Including ad extensions is super essential. Your ad extensions can add in the addition of a phone number. There can be a option for your local maps listing as an extension, which is something that's really been gaining a lot of traction recently, and will allow you to rank in that map pack. I have to give marshmallows to my dogs. I should preface this as I'm like handing stuff back to keep them from barking. So with the map ads, it allows you to rank in that single map pack option there. And it's only one ad spot. So I will say, don't go dumping all your money into it. You really can't. It is regulated by Google because there's only one spot there. So in that single map pack spot, it's something that gets turned on through your ad extensions, and then Google manages it from there. So you can't just go saying, I want to dump $5,000 into my map ad. It's not really how it's going to work. Google makes sure it's an even playing field for all business owners. But that is one of the most valuable next to call extensions. Those two are very essential. And recently, within the last couple weeks, Google's actually implemented the call out extensions to add in your website link. So not only can you click to call, but you also can click to go immediately to the website. So two really great essential CTAs within just that one option on your extension. So really great value there. Your call to action, it's all encompassing to capture that user's attention. That's the end goal of this. You have to know your user's intent, which if it's a roofing company, your user's intent is either to get a roof repair or to get a new roof. So you gear that call to action around that user's intent, and always make sure that where they're being directed to on the website is going to complement that intent. So I don't recommend sending them to the homepage. I recommend sending them, if you're running a new roof ad, to send them to your roof installation page, or to send them, if it's for metal roofs, to send them to your metal roofing page. That way you're really being targeted and exactly what that user's intent is focused on.
That makes sense.
So I don't know for you guys, we use landing pages whenever we do run types of ads and do things out on the marketing aspect for Mr. Pipeline personally. And we also use it for our clients. And the reason being is it does exactly what I'm talking about. It gets very targeted for what that intent is for that user and gives them all the information in one location. Now, if you have a very strong website, you can do, like I was saying before, direct it to an interior service page or an interior page on your website to be able to keep that hyper targeted focus. But you can also use a landing page if you're not there yet. Landing pages are great too for companies that are still in the developmental stages. So if you are a brand new company and you don't have a website yet, you can still be able to run Google Ads. All you have to do is get a landing page developed for the services that you're looking to offer. So if you're a painting company, I would recommend doing one interior based painting landing page and one exterior. So now you have two landing pages that you can run with and be able to start bringing in profit for your business while still building your website. So they have a lot of value that's not just for individuals that already have a business. It can really be great for startups. What you'll say, include the offer. Again, very essential to include that offer on the landing page to mirror what you have on that call to action on the ad copy itself. So that way you're not confusing the customer and they're still able to see exactly what the offer is, an even bigger, bolder call to action on that landing page. Now, I can't stress this enough. Make sure your landing pages and your website are responsive for mobile and tablet devices. So everything can look great on a desktop. That's where we normally have your designers designing every type of website, landing page, whatever the case may be. Where the issue lies is if you have, really major issues on your mobile responsiveness. So if you go to click on your call now button and it is not connected, that's not good. Do not run your ads if that is happening. You have to make sure you run through all the testing. Make sure you test every single contact form, every single call now button, every area on the landing page that has one of those CTAs. Ensure that those are working properly, and then you'll be able to launch that landing page. I don't recommend doing it prior to, because then at that point you're potentially losing money and a client is getting frustrated and then bouncing off that landing page, and now that's money wasted. Now, visual appeal. I highly recommend personal visual appeal. So make sure you're using your own personal photos of work that you've done, successful jobs. Try your best not to use stock photos with the users on a personal level. I've actually had clients, funny enough, use pictures of their family and pictures of their office dogs as a joke to kind of put into their landing pages, but it connects on a personal level. It shows the potential consumer that these are businesses that are local, they are normal, personable human beings, and it's not just some random potential, I hate to say, but potential scam, because a lot of people that use stock photos are, not always necessarily in it for the right reasons. So As much personality as you can put in your landing pages and your website, the better conversion you're going to have in the long run.
And along with that, they don't have to be like totally professional and staged, right? Because we're kind of living in this era of, transparency, raw. That's the word I was looking for. Because I know when we've done like Facebook ads, when we actually show our real Jills on a call, and they're not all even, they're not all perfect. They're just, well, our Jills are perfect, but you know what I mean? It's not like they're this.
I was gonna say
a much better response. They're like, I'm having a bad hair day. I'm like, you look great. I mean, because it's like, we want real, you want to know you have a real person coming to your home, or, if you're in the healthcare services, you have a real person who's going to take care of you. We want real. So I love that.
The rawness is honestly the best way to put it, because and I was talking with a client the other day about it, because you don't have to have professionally shot images. If you take your iPhone, turn this horizontally. The second this turns horizontally, your camera now is turned as well. So now your image becomes larger in a larger format. So it allows you as a business owners to take all of your own photos. Try your best if you're doing like before and after images to take them from the same spot. But those high quality images can be used in large headers on the website. They can be used on Facebook. They can be used across the board. So it's as simple as taking your phone from this way to this way. And I kid you not, we've gotten such great high quality images from it. It's allowed my business owners to really take grasp of that and empower their technicians or their employees to even have bonuses from it. I have a client who, when they complete a job and they don't get any callbacks from the job, and they have the completed photos from it, it's kind of like a checkbox process, but if they get everything checked off, they're not eligible for potential bonuses as a technician. So it's really great the way you can tie in your marketing to having technicians do it, so it's not all on the business owner's shoulders.
Love that idea. That's a great idea. Yeah.
Somehow, there we go. Apologies on that. So next is going to be how to capture these leads. So you're getting them coming in. They're, the ads are running. You're happy with the landing page. Things are working. You've gone through this time period during I should backtrack a little bit. That first section and everything I just talked about is really what you should be doing now during, if you're still on quarantine, if you're still on a stay-at-home order. Take a day to dive into it. Evaluate all those keywords, evaluate your ad groupings, evaluate your targeted locations, look at your budget, take into account all of that I just talked about before, and say, okay, we've taken a look at everything, say it's all buttoned up, it looks perfect. Well, now let's talk about the next step, which is going to be, where are we capturing these leads? In the phones. If you're an owner operator, do you need to be looking into a service like Jill's Office? Are you on a booking software? Do you have the ability to go through and immediately see each estimate that comes through via email, or would you prefer to have someone book now? These are things you have to evaluate as a business owner strategically to say, how can I help automate my system, and how can I help get a little bit more weight off my shoulders? So this area is really the next step as well, prior to turning the ads on. So we're still at a point that we haven't turned the ads on yet. If we're kind of discussing quarantine wise, just because I want to make sure that you guys can get signed up for any softwares or, do any demos that you may need in order to see what answering services or booking softwares are going to work best for you. Now with the booking softwares, they normally come with estimate forms or some type of contact form that you can integrate. And if you're doing a landing page, you can easily integrate that, same with your website. But we do recommend to try and keep it as short and sweet as possible. Really focus on the name of the client, their phone number, the email address, and the service they're looking for. Anything outside of that starts to really get into the personal side of that individual's life. And we've seen that even by adding addresses, it lowers conversion rates. So if you can do your best to keep addresses out of the contact forms, then you will be able to have a higher conversion. I know, trust me, I get this at least once a week. Can I please add my address into my contact form? You can add it in. It's absolutely allowed. I'm not going to tell you no, but know that it's going to lower conversions. So
just like a zip code, does that fare better or is that just as bad?
it's a little better, but it's still an extra field. So when that individual looks at that information, they're seeing how can I get this filled out as quickly as possible? Because sometimes there are people like, you and I, we work in an office. We have only a few seconds, maybe it's on lunch or it's on a break to get this booking taken care of and have these people come out to our home and schedule it. So if it's for me, example, I need to get this filled out in a minute or less, no longer. So it needs to be something very quick that I can be able to fill out, submit, and then it's out of my brain and that task is completed. So if you look at it in that mindset, a zip code can work, but normally it doesn't even give enough to the business owner to say exactly how the estimate will go anyway. They're going to have to get the address most likely. So at least I know that for a couple of my like roofers as well as pressure washing guys can pull up the appraisal information and be able to like do measurements within there. So without the rest of the address, it's a little bit difficult, but you can always beta test it I would recommend if you're doing any beta testing, do it for about a month, evaluate it the first 2 weeks and then evaluate again at the second. So also just an option to capture more leads. Normally it's about a 30% additional capture rate and conversion rate from ads is a live chat feature, because it allows people to engage with an active human. So I recommend an active human. I don't recommend a chatbot. Again, it just makes that personal touch instead of having the very, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of scripted dialogue that you get from the chatbots. Right. So it just adds that personal side to it a little bit. So as going through and saying, we've gone ahead and we've targeted these clients, we've set up our regular ads campaign. Now we're at the point to say, okay, so what happens if these clients don't book with us? What happens if they go to our website or they go to our landing page through a Google ad and they decide not to go forward? They decide not to book, they decide not to call. That's okay. They could be looking for more information. I will tell you that not every person from Google is going to book. And the way you can utilize that though is by implementing a retargeting campaign. So this can be done on platforms such as YouTube, Instagram, which Facebook and Instagram, I should say, are also connected into one. And you can also be doing retargeting on Google, but I normally recommend Facebook because you can add that pixel to the back end of the website. It makes it super simple to gather all that data. And then it turns into a very cheap and cost-effective campaign. So a lot less marketing dollars spent, and you're adding touches now. So that initial touch from ads was your touch one, and you can get an additional 3 to 5 touches depending on how you set up your Facebook retargeting campaign to now get more exposure to that client. So they kind of go into a couple actionable tips, things that you can really start to do right now. And this is kind of where that pen and paper comes out, if it hasn't already been brought out, to make sure that you are taking these steps and implementing them as soon as possible. And my best recommendation is do it, during quarantine. If you're still on that, if you're still on a stay-at-home order. I know I've personally done that myself with the client success side of our business. I've really taken this opportunity to strategically analyze, how we can be better for our clients. And that's really what you're doing as a business owner. You're analyzing how I can better, communicate to my clients and effectively take them from their consumer intent to purchase. So identify your business goals. Where do you want to be in 3 months, 6 months, 1 year? By establishing those, I know that's kind of like an age-old, rule, but some of us forget to do that. We forget to set up those plans. So by establishing that and relaying that to your marketing company, they can be able to say, well, your 3-month goal of wanting to be at 25 leads a day is achievable. And this is what we have to do to get there. Or your 6-month goal of wanting to have a second truck on the road might not be feasible with the budget you're at currently based upon your ROI and your overall, net profit per month. So bringing all those types of numbers to your marketing company Yes, it opens you up. It shows, everything about who you are as a business, but it helps them perform at a much higher level. And if they're not asking those questions, then, I would recommend, starting that conversation with them and say, this is where I'm at. This is where I need to be. How do we get there? What can your tool and your service help me to get there? So as you're establishing these goals, make sure you're hitting them. Make sure you're hitting little milestones. I like to set up, shameless plug, I use a passion planner. I absolutely love the passion planner because it gives you a roadmap, which is exactly what you're doing. So I use it personally, but I'm considering even doing one professionally to make sure that I'm hitting goals for the company that I want to be hitting with all my milestones. So if you have a roadmap, design it in that format, get your 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, and then itemize specific objectives within there to make sure you're achieving those goals. And I'm very much about being raw, authentic, and, calling out my flaws and knowing if there's areas for improvement, act upon it immediately. So if when we were talking about a negative keyword list way back in the beginning of our chat, if you don't have an updated negative keyword list, make sure that is done before this Friday. You go through those keywords, you scan through your account and you say, all right, pressure washing a hogshead is definitely not where we need to be. So let's make sure that gets added to the negative keyword list, because maybe that slipped through and you had no idea because you weren't actively looking at your regular keywords to turn them into negatives. And the way that's done is you really look at the search impressions that come in as well as the clicks that come in, because the impressions can yield a lot of data as to what users have been searching for without actually costing you money. So if you have impressions that were for, like we said, metal roof, purchasing a metal roof from, a supplier like Home Depot, which again, don't know if you can do that, but you can be able to, instead of wasting money on a click, if you catch it on an impression, now you can add that and not have any dollars wasted, which is very important. I never want money wasted for any of my clients or any other individuals working with ads. Next is do a website audit, do a landing page audit. Take a look at your content on those pages. Make sure they're driven for user intent. If you have information on there that's not helping them get to their end goal, which is purchasing that product or signing up for your service, then we need to figure out where we can make those adjustments, how we can make it more personable, how we can add in more photos. There's a lot of areas that we can make adjustments to, calls to action, all that kind of stuff. But do a true, honest audit of your website. And there's a great amount of editors out there, or auditors, I should say, out there. And it takes honestly about 10 minutes, not even, to be able to submit all the information. It comes back to you in a great PDF document. If you do it through marketing companies, sometimes they're a little bit biased. So try to do one that's as generic as possible to get the best overall picture. So get areas of optimization that, again, like I was saying before, be honest with yourself. If there's areas to optimize, immediately do it and take that initiative. And then turn that website into a lead machine. Make it your baby, your tool to bring in those leads. And that's all done, like I said, photos, calls to action, being raw, being authentic, and showing your business as the business you are as a person, because most of our business owners started it just themselves. So bring yourself into it and be able to say, this is who we are, and we're so proud to be it. Your Google, I'm going to shift y'all over here. So as far as your Google Ads account, you can do an audit on your Google Ads account. Super, what's the word I'm looking for? Super productive thing to do, because it'll help, going to a Google Ads company and saying, can you perform an audit for me? And they'll most likely say absolutely yes. They'll give you a PDF document again, just like I was mentioning before with the website, and be able to go through and you can see the errors that you're already having on your account. Now, like I mentioned before, establish that ROI. Where are you currently on your return on investment, and where do you want to be? You can really turn your ads campaign into being that lead machine for you and increasing that ROI and conversions on leads over a few months. That's something that I've seen happen numerous times with our clients. So don't ever think that's not possible. And don't ever think you just have to increase your budget to do that. That's where the optimization really comes into play and allows you to not have to spend as much because you've put a lot of time and effort into your account, or your team has put a lot of time and effort into your account to ensure that you're getting the most bang for your buck. So ties right into qualified leads. Again, just make sure you're analyzing those. That helps with any type of call recording, call answering service, call tracking, as well as form tracking. And then again, I will keep repeating this, identify areas of optimization, see where you can make changes, because no campaigns are perfect. They are constantly needing to be updated, from the website all the way through to the ads campaign itself. So before we talked about the negative keywords, so I won't go back into that and kind of beat a dead bush, but definitely make sure you do that. And then making sure the campaigns are in line with service. What I mean by that is, I mentioned a little while ago about metal roofing. And if someone's searching for metal roofing, you don't want them to land on a shingle roofing page. That makes absolutely no sense for the user's intent. So in lining up the ads themselves to where they're landing, and also making sure that, again, ensuring the customer's intent's always there. And then your cost per lead can be done based upon taking your all-in budgets together, how much how many leads you got through, and working the math on that to figure out your cost per leads. I like to evaluate as well that's what I'm looking for, the conversion rate. So your conversion percentage. So that way you can kind of get an idea as to, if we're regularly converting at 25, 30%, you can expect that if you were to increase your ads budget by an additional 500, what to get based upon the conversion rate you've already been getting. So it allows you to make strategic moves instead of just kind of saying, we'll just go with it and figure it out from there. So as much as cost per lead is important, your conversion percentage is important as well. We talked about tracking codes, so implement those ASAP. You can use a call tracking service that we personally love is CallRail. It allows you to do both the call tracking as well as the form tracking. If you are using a call answering service like Joe's Office, be able to, you guys do have the recorded calls, right? I always forget that. I think I asked you this last time too.
We do record them, but because we work with, because of like HIPAA and other laws, we aren't able to share them. But that's why we work great. A lot of our clients will use CallRail if they want those recordings. We just use it for like auditing purposes and stuff. But a lot of them will use CallRail to be able to see all that. So that's a great one.
They're using us on my own too. So that, again, biggest one that we recommend, have had the most amount of data that we can get from that. As well as Google Analytics, that helps analyze the website and landing page itself. And then your pixel is to help with that retargeting. So the Facebook pixel helps with going after those clients that said, maybe I'll do this, next month. Reviewed your landing page and website, make sure your offers are very clear. Don't make them confusing. Don't do like, you get $20 off if you sign up for X service at this time frame. When you're adding all that stuff into a call to action, it gets really muddied and overwhelming for a client. So make it very clear, very simple. And your calls to action can consist of a couple different avenues: your book now forms, your contact forms, your call now buttons, and then the actual call to action itself. So the dollar off amount that you're doing. Overall, gauge, put yourself as a customer of your company. Go through your whole process. Pretend you click on an ad, pretend you land on that exact page. Evaluate how you would personally feel as a customer. Because I think that's something that we don't tend to do. We don't tend to self-analyze. And it was, I have a really great client who's great about pushing back on, us whenever he wants us to really evaluate his campaign. And we have such a great partnership because of that. And what happens is, we're able to, if he says, would you be proud of something, or would you be happy with how this turned out? And, 90% of the time it's always yes, because we know that's going to be his next question to us. So if you're evaluating your campaign, evaluate it as, would I be wanting to go and book with this company? Would I want to buy a roof and, do a full blown roof installation from ABC Roofing? Is that something I would even want to move forward with? Do I feel comfortable with it? Is there brand trust there? You know, there's a lot of questions you can ask yourself there. And just by taking that, 30 minutes to really evaluate that customer experience will help you as a business owner become more successful. So that ties right into once they turn to your sales guys and your sales ladies, once they get that to them, are they giving them too much of a sales pitch? You can evaluate that section as well, which that's a whole nother conversation. But you're able to take it to that next level. So then you call your sales guy, or you have a friend call them, and don't tell them, especially if you have call tracking and you have the ability to track the recorded line. Don't tell your sales guys you're having someone call in. Really put those sales guys through the ringer. See how that sales pitch goes. Are they overselling? Are they, pushing the product to the point that it's, making it uncomfortable for the potential customer? There's a lot of things you can evaluate at that point. And active on social media, very important during this time frame, as now more than ever, because I think it's up like, it was like some crazy number, like over 80% that the individuals are up on social media, which is insane to me. And there's so many new social media avenues like this, this TikTok stuff that I'm still not completely aware as to what this is.
Bomb at it. I was actually thinking this morning, we got to do some Jill's office stuff with her. She's really good at it.
I'm more addicted to watching them than making them, honestly.
I did like one for some reason. I was like really bored and did one, and it took me like 3 hours, I feel like, to edit it. Insane. I was like, these guys deserve like to be paid as influencers if they're creating these like in-depth videos. This is ridiculous. But there's so many new avenues is what I'm getting at, and utilize them. You can. I saw a lady who does like a level multi-level marketing. She works for a multi-level marketing company, and she was using her TikTok to be able to promote the product, and it was genius what she was going through and doing. So there's ways, like if you have before and after, there's ways to be able to add that really wowing effect through a short video like that. So try to be engaging, because a lot of the people we're seeing that are on, TikTok and some of these other social platforms are, your young homeowners, or, their new family members that are, or young families, I should say. So use social media to your advantage. I can tell you now more than ever, it's a very cost affordable. If you're doing it organically, obviously it's free. If you're doing it even on the paid ads front, very low cost associated to it.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you
off.
No.
Go ahead.
This may be not even I don't know if this is a question that even has an answer, but how does like cost per click, I guess, or Google ads versus Facebook? Like, is there a way to compare them? Does it just totally depend on your industry? Just curious.
So I want to answer this properly. So there are two different platforms. Number one is push, one is pull. So you have to evaluate that first. When it comes to Facebook, a lot of those people aren't looking to purchase your product.
Sure.
So the way you have to approach your Facebook ads is really a lot of branded and hyper targeting of like neighborhoods and locations you want to be focusing in. Whereas Google, people are going to Google to search for a home service business. That's what they know that's where they can go to get valuable information. So that's why one of the reasons the cost per clicks differ is the Google cost per click is a lot higher, normally a lot more, so I'm looking for a lot more competition from your own local business owners that are trying to rank for ads there. And then for your Facebook side of things, a lot of people use it for the retargeting. There's ways to do lead generation from it. But establishing what your average cost per click will be. I was having this conversation yesterday with another business owner, and you have to take into account a lot of different things, because he was getting very upset. He was saying, my buddy in, Texas pays this for his cost per click. I was like, well, that's normal for his area. You're in California. When you're in California, your market for window cleaning is much higher for your local area. You have a lot of competition. Your average cost per click is skyrocketed because of how much searches come in from it, the local area itself, where in comparison to where he is in Texas, not as much competition, a little bit lower search volume, but he still gets a lot of business coming in. So it's really comparing apples to oranges when you look at that. And it's a lot of it based upon location and competition, but the keywords themselves have a lot of weight too. So if you're searching for pressure washing or window cleaning versus soft washing, because I know a lot of individuals use soft washing for, a smaller sub service, because that's really how they clean the windows and everything on the exterior. What you'll see is those pressure washing and high search volume keywords are a lot higher than what's going to be for your soft washing. So not only is it the keyword itself, but its location, competition, a whole slew of, check boxes you need to go through. So I really recommend never comparing your cost per click to someone else, unless you know that person is in the exact same market and targeting the exact same keywords, and you're, being able to evaluate your campaign on an honest level between the two. Because normally, it's never going to be the same. Piece that really ties into it is just your reviews. You're putting all this effort into your ads campaign. Make sure you're putting as much effort into the review system. And that's something that's a whole nother topic for another day, but definitely know that if you're taking the time and money to go forward with an ads campaign, consider a review generation software. Consider something that's going to make it super easy for you to generate those reviews from your clients and customers.
Yeah, and we actually did a masterclass last month about that. So anyone watching, check out last month's for some great information about that as well.
Perfect. So I know that was a crazy amount of information packed into one little hour here, but I'm totally open to questions. And if anyone, is confused by a certain topic or information that I went over, I'd be happy to dive a little bit deeper into it.
Awesome. Do you have any other questions from it? I think that was.
I don't have any questions. I think it was super informative. And if people do reach out with questions, at least we know who to forward them to, because I know it's hard sometimes to navigate around Google AdWords and just to know what you're doing. And sometimes our clients, the reason they sign up with us in the first place is because they're just so busy. They're wearing so many hats. I don't know how many of them want to wear, their own marketing hat too. So a service like Mr. Pipeline is great.
Right. Yeah. And be sure we'll drop your contact information, or I don't know, we'll find out the best people below in case they do have more questions that they can follow up more with you. But we really appreciate that. Was really helpful digging into all that stuff. And we really appreciate you being on here today with us.
Welcome. Thank you for having me. I know it's a lot of marketing, so gray. So I'm sure there'll end up being questions, and I'd be happy to be able to sit down on even, a couple calls, whatever the case may be, to really help evaluate your campaign and help you further.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Taylor.
Thanks,
appreciate
Taylor.
it. You have a great one.
Welcome. Thanks, guys. You too. Stay safe.
Bye.
Bye.